is now my pleasure to invite Bishop Odoha to make his opening remarks. Thank you.
And it was adopted on the 19th day of October to collaborate in addressing the escalating conflict affecting our common existence and engender social cohesion, sustainable peace, and security of lives and property. And many of us who are here were involved in that consultation, including my friend and brother, Gumi, and Larry, and quite a number of others were involved in that conversation. One thing that was striking at that dialogue table, and that we have all come to acknowledge, is that the core of our collective moral sense is put to test every day by many narrow identities of politics and breakdown of law and order in our dear country. These forces us to take sides, or at least be sympathetic to these ideologies that continue to divide us. Even the fence-sitter and the neutral bystander seem to have shifted positions. It is said that a boat does not know who the leader is. When it turns over, everyone gets wet. The heinous act of barbarism, corruption, violent extremism, and the rise of ethnic militia groups that is involving our dear country, enveloping our dear country, whether propelled by ethnicity, religious intolerance, or sheer bigotry, will only lead to a meltdown that will engulf all of us, unless some influential stakeholders and leaders with moral authority, like we are fortunate to have assembled here today, deliberately promote dialogue, national cohesion, and hope. This expanded retreat is a sequel to the earlier meeting in Washington, D.C. But we hope the results and the next step from this meeting will reflect on a grander scale our resolve and determination to focus on and together fight the existential challenge facing all of us. Sadly, there exists a wide gulf of trust deficit among the many divides that make our dear country. Very few are trusted around dialogue table. So-called influencers have betrayed the young ones, that now they thumb their nose at the heritage we once held so dear, and they stand against traditional institutions that give us the unique identity we pride ourselves by. We must take deliberate steps to close the gap between the aggrieved and the leaders by identifying trusted, objective, and reliable moderators who must coordinate the discordant tones into a harmonious melody that will bring about peace and reconciliation. A hungry man is an angry man is a popular proverb in Nigeria. But in it lies core of the many agitations, militancy, pockets of security crisis we are faced with in this country today. People are hungry. And in such stark reality, the young, and indeed everyone, will hop on any chariots that promises better, even when they are not sure what the better will mean, because hope is sustaining. Hope that things may get easier if they do something about it. Hope that maybe if they rouse attention, someone somewhere will pay attention to their plight. There is hunger, and hunger is in the land. I fear for a country that will have to grapple with these untamed energies in the next 5 to 10 years. And that fear comes from the fact that these able-bodied young men are veritable tools in the hands of agitators and non-state actors. What is the value of life to a hungry young man who sees no future in the horizon and no light at the end of the long, dark tunnel? He or she will sell his soul to the devil for any level of gratification or self-worth. It is a ticking time bomb, and no one knows when or where it will go off. We are fortunate to have people on this dialogue table, in this room today, who carry a measure of authority and who, we trust, will make a difference without sentiments. These are many more societal influencers like you all out there, men and women of unquestionable character that have the capacity to come up with expected results while articulating the needs of the aggrieved, who also have the capacity to bring government and the opposition to a discussion. Once these people are at the table, dialogue must begin immediately. We must identify and connect with them. At Vision Africa, our community development strategy is simple: reach the unreached by sharing God's love. Aside from our radio programs, our annual medical outreach, prison outreach, one of our strong foundations in our Interfaith peace and reconciliation model. With this model, we continue to expand and deepen community action in support of interfaith understanding and peace in our local communities, by recognizing that everyone plays central roles in sustaining the openness on which development and prosperity deepens. As we renew our commitment to peace by breaking down barriers between communities, religions, and regions, I sincerely hope that this will ultimately improve dialogue, transparency, and peaceful coexistence for us and our children, because this is our home. We are human, only through humanity of others, for no one is ultimately self-sufficient. Your Eminence, I want to once again thank you as our father, and thank you for your messages of peace all these years. And we believe with men of goodwill and conscience, we will build a nation, and we'll build a people, and we'll reconcile people, and we'll have better tomorrow for our children. Thank you, sir.
As religious leaders, and I know the two major religions all preach peace. The two major religions preach justice. So whenever we find ourselves in such situations, we look at ourselves first. What have we done wrong that the Almighty Allah inflicted us with such hardship or problems? And I want to thank all of you who are here, cross-section of this country's leadership, various organizations. And I want to say, with the June program we had, which we put together with former President Obasanjo, who was supposed to be here. He's supposed to be in flight by now, and he will join us later, inshallah, where we brought all leaders from Pandeb to Area Consultative Forum, to Area Elders, to Middle Belt Forum, to Afeni Ferry, to service chiefs, retired general service chiefs, retired NSS, and retired heads of state. And we met for a long time in this hotel till late in the night. And inshallah, in the next few days, that team will meet again to look into what we discussed last June. And with today's gathering again, I want to say definitely there is hope in finding solutions to the numerous problems, numerous challenges facing us. Because I know all of us here believe and identify that we have problems. And to believe, to know you have a problem, you have half of the solution. And the other half we're looking for is this type of gathering to talk to ourselves with all honesty and sincerity. And I believe that's what we owe each other, to be very honest and sincere with each other as we discuss, in efforts to bring peace and stability to our country. Peace is the most important aspect of our lives, because without peace, you just can't do anything. You can't even worship God who created you to worship Him. And religion, we know, is an individual's problem between him and his maker. What leadership needs to do is to promote and provide a stable polity to enable me as a commoner to observe my religious beliefs freely, without any disturbance, without any let or hindrance. And I think this forum is very important, and I want to thank all of you for coming. There have been so many initiatives across the world, and I think this one initiative by Global Peace Foundation is also one that will bring in other parts of the world to talk on one particular issue, that is peace across the world. I'm involved in so many programs across the world, and one particular program that I would like to bring our attention to is the Common Word Initiative. If you Google you on the Common Word, you'll see what that means. It was a letter in 2007 from Muslim leaders across the world to the then Pope in Rome, asking Christians and Muslims to come together because we were united by that common word. And since then we had been having a series of meetings across the world, and I took part in almost all of them, even though we have not met for quite some time now. But I want to bring to mind, what brought this to mind is the need to have a common platform to serve humanity and to serve God, as Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, and whatever. And during one of the meetings we had on this common word at Yale University in Connecticut, USA, that time the theme was loving God and neighbor in words and deeds, implications for religious leaders. At the end of the two-day program, everybody agreed you cannot love God if you don't love your neighbor. Why? Because God created your neighbor. And we all agreed and left the meeting at Yale University. But what we are seeing today across the world, that love is lost. We find people killing innocent people, either in the name of religion or either in the name of banditry or terrorism or whatever it is. And that's why we keep on calling on all of us to go back to our holy books and work with the wordings of the Holy Quran for us Muslims and the Bible for Christians. So I think it's an important thing for us to always look back and discuss some of these issues openly. In Nigeria, we must stop laying blames. Whatever had happened, and will continue to happen unless we come together like this to address the situations, the problems. And that's exactly what we are doing this morning. We must not politicize insecurity, because hunger does not know politics. Hunger does not know religion or ethnicity. And everybody had been complaining of hunger in the land, and it's true. At the last meeting of NAREC last week, Thursday, I've been here since Thursday, and we still have other meetings tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday before we are moving back. And we all discussed, we all agreed there's hunger in the land. And one of the major problems that we all know, a hungry man is an angry man. And when the anger is so bottled up in you, and you find no way to feed yourself, to calm you down, you can do anything. So I think it's important for us, whenever we meet as religious leaders, as political leaders, as regional leaders, we must always look at one thing. Let us serve humanity first. And if we do that and leave the rest to Almighty God, He will definitely help us. So we must never, or we must stop politicizing insecurity. And that's what we have seen across the land. Parties accusing one another of doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. I think that's one of the problems we've been having. I'd like to thank Bishop Mosquito. I called Sunday Onoha Bishop Mosquito because it's one important point I would like to make. When we're talking of serving humanity, don't bring religion into it as a divider, but use the religion to knit you closer. We're in Washington, D.C. at World Malaria Day program. There were representatives from all over the world. Myself and Cardinal Onayekon was the current president, were there. That's why we brought together Muslims and Christians to talk about removing malaria from the world. And what brings malaria? Mosquito. Mosquito, like I said in my program that day, and it became a sing song. Everybody was quoting me. Mosquito has no religion. He goes to churches on Sundays, he goes to mosques on Fridays. So that's why we decided to come together to unite to fight a common enemy. That common enemy is mosquito. And since then, we appointed Bishop Onoha as the executive director of NIFA. And NIFA is an organization we put together to fight malaria in Nigeria, and we'll be having partnership from across the world, especially in the US. We have board members. So since then, Bishop had not looked back. He had been doing a lot, and that's why when he approached me to be part of this program, I said, inshallah, with Bishop Mosquito there, we know what we have achieved. I will come and attend and also give my own little contribution. Last 2 weeks also, I spoke at National Unity Forum, even though I sent a message to one of the emirs here to read, because we had another program in Sokoto. It was held here in Abuja. And in the National Unity Forum, which we talked about, we brought about the challenges of uniting this country. And definitely we have various nationalities, we have various languages, we have various religions. I just had my brother here saying that we didn't bring an African religion. But before then, Sheikh was saying that we should take 1 minute silence to pray the way we want. But I think the Sheikh Maraj didn't get it before he started the prayer. But we always pray to ourselves, we pray in our minds, because prayer is always done at any time, at any second. You don't wait to be asked to pray before you pray. And that program, I identified the problems we're having in the country. And what I said was that we can unite and move forward and serve humanity. You can be united, but you cannot be uniform. We can be united without being uniform. Now we have people here, Niger Delta, Middle Belt, Arewa Consultative Forum, everybody, different backgrounds. But we should all work towards one agenda, to be united. So I said we can be united without being uniform. I think it's important for us to always look at how do we serve humanity, which is the most important thing. And I think when we do that, Almighty Allah will help us to overcome our challenges. As a military man, we like challenges. But challenge, because once you overcome a challenge, it's no longer a challenge. It's giving you another edge to be a better person. So without challenges, you can't be a better person, because you continue to be in one place. Maybe that's what pushed Sheikh Ahmad Gumi and professor to go into the bush to look for bandits and talk to them without fearing for their lives, because it's a challenge to them. If they were abducted and asked for $1 billion also, maybe they could find money to pay that or something, but they didn't care about that. But whatever somebody does, he should do it with that fear of Almighty, knowing that God is seeing him, even though you are not seeing God, and why you are doing it is to help humanity. And if Almighty Allah decrees it to be the shining light to bring problems to the end, it will be. But if not, we'll continue to work. So let this gathering be that shining light that definitely will brighten up our path to find solutions to the numerous problems of this great country. I would like to thank all of you for coming. I'd like to thank our elders at 90 plus. Thank Kwase is still able to come here. It's an encouragement. It's an encouragement for people to know that at his age he is still concerned, he is bothered about humanity. And I think we should learn from that.
The problems Nigerians have, we have long-term problems and we have immediate problems. The long-term problems, when people talking about constitution, revenue, allocation formula, all these are long-term problems. But today now we are facing a Frankenstein, a monster we created ourselves. And Ijomani would say is a second-class Nigerian. He's treated as a second-class Nigerian. Let's accept. But do you know that there are also third-class Nigerians? When you talk about graduates not having jobs, and this is a time bomb, how about a chunk of Nigerians, a big population of millions that has not even a primary school education? How will they cope? And this political, socio-economic, ecological disarray that is facing the nation. So this third-class people now is the Frankenstein that we're facing. They respect no religion, they respect no ethnicity, they respect nothing. People talk about a boss burnt in Sokoto State by bandits. When we all know bandits initially, they don't kill people like that, they kidnap people to get money. So what has metamorphosed and turned them into a Frankenstein, a monster that is now trying to kill people just like that for the pleasure of it? Have you asked for 1 second? They have women too. They have children too. Have you asked for 1 minute that what happens to their children when we are bombarding their rugas? What happened to their children when we are bombarding rugas? You are talking about when they kidnap school children. Don't you ask, okay, which school their children go to? Because we don't have answers to this, that's why we are surprised. But if we have embraced them as Nigerians and extend to them what we extend to Nigeria, or at least give them hope, just hope, you'll see a difference. And this is what we learned when we ventured there. It's not an irretractable problem. It can be solved. But we need the right political environment to do it. Many people, like the kind representative is talking about military actions. We are here for peace. And we have seen that peace can tame this Frankenstein. I have seen it. What we need to do is to build, like the Global Peace Foundation and Vision Africa, what they have been doing around the world, like building homes and schools, giving locals animals to breed, giving them medical attention, planting and engaging the community. This is all what we need to do with the Fulani herdsmen to get them piped down and drop their weapons. This is all what we need. And we don't have to wait for government. I've seen it, I practicalize it. I had a theory and I practicalize it. I went into a Janjala village, that is a village between Abuja and Kaduna, in the middle, where was notorious for armed bandits. That was my first outing. 50 men came, said they are abandoning banditry. And I promised them a school. And I went there still to put a foundation. The day I put a foundation, the next day, they have already started gathering under the tree, waiting for the school to be completed. And they have started studying even before the building was erected. We didn't finish the building with no plaster, no electrical or anything. They came, they said, please allow us to start using it. Now we have, between their women, their men and children, we have 600 students studying there. 600. Just imagine if we can do that in multiple places. You will look for a bandit and you will not find. But when you say kill them, this word kill them means killing them with their families. And the next thing they do, because they are primitive, I'm sorry to say, is revenge. So they will come to the road and revenge and kill you. So they are on this revenge mission now, wherever it is. They are massacred in Anambra, they are massacred in Oyo, they are massacred in North Central, they are massacred everywhere. They respect now no religion, they respect no ethnicity. What they want is we must live, or we all live together or nobody lives. So we want to change the language, the narrative. Let's engage them. Let's bring them from third-class citizens to even a second-class citizen. And you'll see the difference. There is no justification at all. There is no justification at all for criminality, no. But let me tell you, every criminal has a justification for his crime. If you don't look into that justification in commerce, if you don't look into the grievances, then you have not taken the way to solve the problem. And I hope we will think back, really see what we can do, personally, the government too, and convince the population this is time to stop the bloodshed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Sultan was reminding me of my title. And those of you who have no caliphate title, now you're trouble. Now leave me JJ with my own. And Dr. Gumi, have you been lucky to have a Sokoto title yet?
Malam no dey take title.
Oh, Malam no dey get title. Okay. So leave us, those of us who are entitled to title. Bishop, I want to thank you and really, really express our gratitude for you bringing this type of interaction. It's what we need. In fact, we need this on daily basis to be able to talk to ourselves and talk among ourselves rather than talking at ourselves. I always say this: each and every one of us has solution for Nigeria problem, but each and every one of us is wrong. When you bring your own and you think it is perfect, then listen to the other man. But one thing I believe we all have in common, Nigeria. One thing that we have in common, Nigeria. Ijo nation, if you like. I have never used Yoruba nation. And I will never. because I believe that my Nigerianness is bigger than my Yorubaness. And neither my Yorubaness nor my Nigerianness should stand in the way of each other. For me, my Nigerianness is very important because I am more than what I should have been as a Nigerian than as an Oduduwa Republic man. And I believe that that should be the case for every one of us. And again, why should the accident of my place of birth be a hindrance for me as a human being, first of all, and for me as a Nigerian? If I have been born in Sokoto, the chances are probably 99 to 1, I will have been a Muslim. If I have been born in Sokoto. If Sultan had been born in Abeokuta, the chances are 99, no, it won't be 99. It will probably be 55 to 45 that he will be a Christian. Now, what has brought a change, or what he has brought, what he is, or what I am, is where I was born, by whom I was born, and maybe when I was born. Why should that be a deciding factor for me as a human being? So when we come up and we look at ourselves only in the context of where we are born, when we are born, and how we are born, I believe we are making a mistake. And I have no apology to anybody that I feel that what God has given to us in Nigeria belongs to all of us in Nigeria. And anybody who feels otherwise, good luck to him. The point is that we must aggregate. If you are born in a place and there is a particular treasure in that place, you must enjoy more of it than others in other parts of Nigeria. And that, I believe, whether it's stone with which the Nigerian railways and the Lagos port were built, which came from Abeokuta, which nobody paid anything for in the colonial days. Now, don't laugh. This is true. Or the coal in Enugu, which some of it was used to drive the locomotive and whatever. The point is that it was all a gift of God to all Nigerians. I want to say that because to me it is very, very important. Humanity and the gift of God. I believe we must understand them and really know how we manage them together. I want to talk more about domestic before I come to the external, which Akim talked about dropping the ball. I will come back to that. In domestic, it has been mentioned, and we all know it, the language with which we talk to ourselves. Somebody there said, oh yes, we know your thing and all that, but this one. Now that is an insult to me, with all due respect. I see that as an insult. And that is not the language of a well brought up person in an African society. One of the things that we respect in African society is age and authority. And with all due respect, I have them both. Age and authority. With all due respect, I have them both. So I don't deserve any disrespect from anybody. Having said that, there are two issues to me that are very, very important. The issue which have to be legislated. They are issues that have to be legislated. Somebody said, well, if we have a state police, what does it matter? Of course it matters a lot. From what we have seen and experienced in recent times, it matters a lot because the state governor is the chief executive of his state, is also the chief security officer of his state. But then, what instrument does he have to be able to maintain security? And the sort of things that we have seen and gone through in recent times. What does he have? I know, and some of you will know, what we went through under the Native Authority Police, which made it necessary to scrap the Native Authority Police and centralized police. Other countries did the same. I have been to Colombia a number of times in the past 5 years. They did the same thing. But when they were confronted with the issue of security, the way we are confronted today, they went back. And if we are going to deal with our issue of security, somebody put it rightly, most of these are local, and they have to be addressed locally. And to be addressed locally, there must be the instrument with which they can be addressed locally. So there are issues of legislation, and I do hope that our leaders at the executive and legislative level will realize that there is need for some legislative action that had to take place before even the next election. The second point, which I have mentioned a little bit in passing, is the issue of the language with which we address ourselves and the relationship that we build among ourselves. One of the things that I used to take as example is the Sultan and Cardinal Nayakam. They come together, irrespective of religion, and they have common front, common attitude, common solution, common struggle against what they perceive as our problems. Your Eminence, what you are doing, may God give you the ability to continue to do it in this respect. Issues of relationship, issues of language, issues of action we take. Professor Yusuf and Sheikh Gumi came to see me after Sheikh Gumi had gone to the bush to see those boys. I always refer to them as naughty boys. And a number of things were going around before they came to see me. One was that Sheikh Gumi said that the Christian soldiers were the one that were killing their people or something like that. And the second was that he was anointing bandits. So when Sheikh Gumi came, the first question I asked is, did you really say that Christian soldiers were the one killing your people? He said he didn't say that. And in my making effort to receive them, I've called one person who I thought was important. He said, Gumi, I will never talk to him. I said, well, the good thing, if you won't talk to him, I will talk to him. And I talked to him. And I was wiser for talking to him. Much, much wiser for talking to Sheikh Gumi and his team. The first thing that Sheikh Gumi made me to be aware of is that in where those bandits are staying, they have absolute control of it. And in fact, whether it's the military or the police, they don't go to their camp. I wouldn't know that. And until somebody, an eyewitness, tells me that, I will not know. Now, if that is the case, how then do we solve the problem? Because if we don't know, then we cannot find solution. Another thing he said was that, look, those boys of 13, 14, 15, they are soaked in drugs. So they are ruined. What do we have to do? How do we have to rehabilitate them? Or are we going to leave them ruined for the rest of their life? Now, these are things that we should know. And if we know it, then what do we do? People talk of political will. I talk of political action. Political will is not enough. Political will must be matched by political action. I believe that if we are able to deal with what I call the moral content of our relationship and our language through what I will call moral rearmament, then that will be one issue being resolved. And that will involve all of us, but particularly you, the clergy, Christians and Muslims. And if there are people who are also in other religions that they feel that there is some what they can do, yeah,
African religion.
yeah, then we will. No, I have nothing wrong with that. All right, but this the responsibility of all of us. Another thing that I will plead in this thing is, whatever we say here, or whatever we say in the corner of our houses, should be matched by what we say publicly. Some of us will say something differently, and we come out and say something at home and something different in the public. I believe honesty, integrity demand that we should say it, we should understand it, and say it, and be able to. The point is this: I think we should say this to ourselves. No group in this country, in any part of this country, can dominate the rest of this country without their willingness to be dominated. If we know that, why don't we come together, put our hands together, and really forge ahead in unity, in understanding, and in mutual respect and mutual profit for all of us. Now, the issue of the youth has been mentioned, and somebody said one thing about education, about empowerment, and about skill for youth and employment. If over 14 million Nigerian children that should be in school are not in school, that should be the starting point, because those are the recruits for Boko Haram of 10 years from now, 15 years from now. On 2 occasions when I had the opportunity, I launched UPE in Sokoto. I launched UBE in Sokoto. Although both of them were not continued, but Sokoto was the better for it. And I was surprised the other day when the Sultan was telling me what has been achieved in Sokoto as far as education is concerned. But there's still a lot to be done, and there's continuity to be maintained. That is the immediate future of the youth. And if we don't do it, we are postponing the evil day. And the evil day will even worse, because what we have had, those who will come tomorrow, they have seen what Boko Haram had been, what banditry had been, and they are going to improve on it. I always say to my children, I pity you. By that time, I pray that I will have gone. Not that I really pray that I will be gone. But I will be failing in my duty if today I do not shout and scream about this. Because it will come. There's nothing we can do about it except to start addressing the issue today. Whatever we have, legitimately or what, whatever is we acquired, to me, I believe is a gift of God. Whether it is individually we claim it or collectively we claim it, it is the gift of God. And if the gift of God is misapplied, misused, then it is between you and God who has given it. And that is the position I hold in this respect. Let me now conclude with my recent experience. I was in France not too long ago. I went to brief President Macron about my work in the Horn of Africa. And after I had briefed him, he decided to brief me about what he's doing in Mali, in Chad, and in the Sahel. And this was soon after the debacle in Afghanistan, the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I must mention this. I was in Afghanistan 3 weeks before the withdrawal and the breakup, the collapse of Afghanistan. And President Ghani, who was kind enough even to have a banquet for me on that occasion, did not know that it would happen so fast. and so quickly. It did. So President Macron was saying to me, look, I have solution for the problem of Mali and problem of Chad and the Sahel. I said, Mr. President, what is the solution? He said, I will train their soldiers. I will equip them strong enough to maintain security. Then I will withdraw. And I said, Mr. President, within 5 years you will go back. You say, why? I said, because you are relying on stick to solve the problem of Mali and Chad, whereas you need carrot and stick. And I have always said that about us here. The problem of Boko Haram will not go if all we are using is stick. We may suppress it, we may keep it down a bit, but it will not go. We have to bring carrot and stick together. So when I said this to President Macron, and I give my own country example, he said, oh, you are right, we have to rethink. So even France is now rethinking its policy in Mali, in Chad, and in the Sahel. If that can happen to a country like Mali, like France, then it needs to happen to us in Nigeria, that we should rethink how we resolve these problems. They were not there yesterday. And when in 2011, I went to Maiduguri, and I was put in contact with Boko Haram leadership. And I asked the man who was intermediating, what do you think is the foreign involvement with Boko Haram? And he said, maybe 10-15%. I said, how do you come to that? And he said, well, we know them, we know what they bring in, and the people, not much. And that time, it would have been easy to deal with the issue of Boko Haram. Today, the foreign involvement is more than 50%. So it has grown beyond what we can say we deal with quickly. But then, there's still room for dealing with it. But somebody said, yes, we do not need the president, the governors, and the legislatures. We can assemble. Yes, we can assemble. We have assembled here. But there is the aspect of legislation that I have mentioned. We cannot legislate. We can assemble, we can meet, we can recommend, we can appeal, but we cannot legislate. And that is why we must go to them, we must carry them along, and the senator will say, you're right. And he cannot do it alone. And it is also our responsibility to do what we need to do, to involve and to carry those who have responsibility to do what they need to do in the best interest of our country and our nation. Now I come and I end up drop the ball. Almost anywhere I go, people will say, well, Nigeria is not at the table. And that is the truth. Oh, yes, Nigeria is not at the table. About a week ago, I was coming from Gambia, where I've gone to observe the election on behalf of the Commonwealth. And when I got to Togo, Lomé, the president of Togo was waiting for me, and he took me to his house, where I met the former president of Niger, President Issoufou. And they sat me down and said this and that and this and that. Some of the questions they asked me, I cannot answer because it borders on what they expect Nigeria to do, which they found Nigeria not doing. And how do I answer that? What do I say? So at the end I said, I hear you. And when I get home, I will see what can be done. But when I get home, I won't see anything. That's the truth. Because the truth is this. President Buhari has done his best. That is what he can do. If you expect anything more than what he has done and what he's doing, you are kicking a dead horse. And there's no need. So, if they pass all this into me and say this, what do I say? I say what I think I should say. I understand the point you are making. When I get home, then they will not let me go. But then, where do we go from here? We cannot fold our hands. I believe, and that is part of what we are doing here, and what I believe we must continue to do. How do we prepare for post-Buhari era? Buhari has done his best. My prayer is that God will spare his life to see his term through. But what do we have after Buhari? What should we do to make post-Buhari era better than what we have now? That is your responsibility. That is our responsibility. And that we cannot, and it's not a question of passing the buck or and saying, look, it doesn't concern me. It concerns all of us. I will finish. Just wait, you are in a hurry. I was talking to some people this morning before I left Lagos. I was leaving my hotel, and a lady came and said, sir, I want to take you down. I said, down where? I've never met her before. I said, is it down where we have some youth? I said, youth? He said, yes, USAID is giving us money to train some youth in youth empowerment, youth employment, and youth entrepreneurial and entrepreneurship and all that. I said, okay, let's go. So we went under at the ground floor of Marriott Hotel where I stayed. And they were there. I said to them, look, whatever you are here for, we should thank USAID for making this possible for you. But if you don't take advantage of the opportunity you have, your future may be in jeopardy. But let me tell you, we will go through history you will look at those who gave us independence, the generation before my own generation, and we can crucify them again and again. But what we cannot change is that they gave us independence. We cannot change that. I say what you will look, when you look at my own generation, which is the generation following the generation of those who gave us independence, you can crucify all of us and take all of us one by one, and including those who are already dead, dig them up and nail them to the wall. I said, but one thing you cannot change is what that generation had done. It fought for the unity of Nigeria, and it laid the foundation of democracy. You cannot change that. I said, but your own generation and the generation that is coming, that follows our own generation, you must be asking yourself, what will you do? What will they say about you? You have to think about it. And I said, in the last 2.5 months, I've gone to 2 or 3 countries where the youth have now been recognized as an important, in fact, the main factor in election victory. One is Zambia. And the president of Zambia, the new president of Zambia, when I went to him, said, look, I will not have won this election if the youth have not supported me. I will not have won this election if the youth had not supported me. I said, thank you. I told you I just observed the election in Gambia for the Commonwealth. And after the result was declared, I went to the president who had the second term. And he said to me, my father, he was addressing me. Then I look at myself. I then look at his face. I say, yes, I'm old enough to be his father. Your Eminence, I won't tell you what His Eminence said. That's soldier talk. And he said to me, if not for youth support, I would not have won this election. And I don't want to disappoint them. Sir, go and look for me what I will do, not to disappoint the youth. That is in Gambia. Then I left there. I went to Kenya. I wanted to brief President Uhuru Kenyatta about my work in the Horn of Africa, because Kenya is also part of the Horn of Africa. While I was waiting for the president to call me, Raila Odinga, who is the front runner in the coming Kenya election, came to me and said, my brother, what will you do to help me? I said, help you in what? He said, in the coming election. I said, well, let me tell you the lesson I've learned from 2 elections recently. Go and find a way to mobilize the youth. If you can mobilize your youth, you have won the election. The point is this: the youth have become important factor in our democratic system and democratic process and elections. And if they decide this is the way to go, that will be the way to go. And as somebody said, how do we encourage them so that they can go the right way for the good of all of us, but particularly for their own good? Thank you very much.